This is Drop In, Drop Out, the weekly podcast where a mix of 7 gamers come together for an open and engaging conversation all about video games. Tonight, we're going to be predicting the first 5 years, the first half a decade of the Switch 2, and we're going to be taking a little trip down memory lane, doing a little retrospective of Nintendo launches in the past, because we are officially 1 week away from the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm your host, Patrick, and dropping in this week, the homie, JakeTwitchin. Jake, how you doing?
I am doing very well. I'm back in my Florida setup. If I sound a little bit different, maybe a little worse, that is why, but that does mean that Cuck Mario has returned with me for video watchers.
Cuck Mario in the chat or else. The South is happy to have you again, Jake. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, for sure.
Also dropping in this week, Jerica, aka Jerica. I think you're about to say something when I cut you off. Welcome to the show.
I just said yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, the South, I think.
It's true.
I mean, I'm saying it. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay. I love it. And we're already seeing, what do we call the Kayla Halo emoji? What's that called?
I don't know.
I think
something
Kayla Spark. It's guilty.
Kayla Spark. We're already seeing Kayla Spark in the chat. Kayla, welcome back to the show. Kayla, how you doing?
I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad my little head's swirling around in chat, which you can get if you're subscribed to Dido.
Come on, subs. We're back. It's Thursday right here on twitch.tv/dropin/dropout-pod, and it's about to get busy, y'all. We about to be buzzing around on our little corner of the internet. We got Halo Jamboree this Sunday. If you don't know what that is, we're going to be playing Halo with you. So if you have the Halo Master Chief Collection, if you have Game Pass, if you have any way to play the game, join us around 8 p.m. Sunday night, this Sunday night, June 1st, here on twitch.tv/dropout-pod. We're going to be playing all sorts of custies. We're going to be playing all sorts of modes. It's going to be a fun time. And make sure you get your favorite Dorito and your favorite Mountain Dew, because we're gamers after all. And then next week, I don't have the graphic on hand, but just so much SGF content. Summer Game Fest. We're going to be doing launch of Switch 2 on Thursday, Summer Game Fest show on Friday, Xbox show on Sunday, and anything else that falls in and around that time, we're going to be reacting to here on Drop In, Drop Out Pod. So if you don't already like or subscribe, why don't you just go ahead and do it? Because then you're going to get all that sweet Key 3 content next week or over the next couple weeks. But folks, before we get into today's conversation, I have been inspired. I have come across inspiration. I saw something less than 24 hours ago, or actually a little over 24 hours ago. And I want to start this conversation. It doesn't have to be about video games, but like, what's something you've seen or watched or read recently that inspired you, Jake?
Inspired me? Oh man, I definitely not something that I read. Yes, correct. I don't read. I don't barely read on chat. I haven't watched many movies lately either. It's gotta be a game, and I'm trying to think back to the last time that I was like legitimately inspired by one. I'm just trying to think of what I would have been inspired to do, because I do the same shit all the time. I think it would have to be. Man, am I going that far back? I feel bad doing Chia, but I think it's Chia, man.
Whoa,
Chia is from a few years ago. That is a game that caught me off guard. It's a game about family, and the way that story plays out and is presented inspired me to go about my familial family interactions a little bit differently.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Jerica, do you have anything that you've just really lit a spark in you lately?
I mean, literally last night I was playing Death Stranding again. And I just don't remember it being as much fun initially when I first played, which I love the game, but it's definitely not, I have a lot of friends that through me got a PlayStation so they could play The Last of Us for the first time, because I'm just like nonstop talking about it. And then they're like, "Oh, you love Death Stranding. Should I play that next?" And I always tell them, no, don't do that. I don't think you're ready for that level of I don't think you're ready for Kojima yet. But the reason I'm sharing that is it is such a weird game, but I just love how weird it is, but it still sort of lands. Like there's a message in that game, and there's like super. You watch a trailer, you're seeing babies come out of throats, and I don't know, people like umbilical cords, and you're just like, this looks like nonsense. But we talked about it. I think like 2 weeks ago on like games for impact, and just the fact that Kojima with Death Stranding specifically, and even like Metal Gear, but it just takes itself seriously, but it doesn't. And the message lands and all the mess, but it's truly about you walking around and it's so quiet. And then all of a sudden, like a track lands and it's just like the most cinematic, dope ass
Yeah.
experience. And I'm just like, it pulls back the camera and the landscape of the whole. It's basically Iceland. So if you've ever wanted to go walk around Iceland, that's what it's like. So I'm not necessarily like inspired, but I don't know. Like I think I'm pretty weird, and I like that you can still be weird and make
Oh, sure.
games. So it inspires me. Death Stranding, Kojima inspires me every day to be my best, weirdest self.
I
So
love that. A couple from the chat before we go to you, Kayla. Yulha, new friend of the show. I'm always inspired when something makes me cry a lot. The latest was
Me
Next
too.
to Normal musical pro shot. Good pull. I love Next to Normal. I saw a live production of it. God, so many years, probably like 16 years ago at this point, but that's a really good show. We also got High School Weekly kicked it off in the chat with Expedition 33. He says he can hardly even focus on the Nintendo launch because of Sandfall Interactive. Who knew this would happen? And then the homie Noah, who only came once he got the Dido notification and not the JakeTwitchin notification because they're fighting right now, says E33 pushed him to finish a game prototype he was sitting on for a few months. So that's also very fucking cool.
That's cool.
Kayla, how about you? What you got?
Well, I frequently get inspired by random things that make me hyperfixate on random things, and then I go on a random tangent about whatever that thing may be. But the latest thing is a positive one. I just read this book with our book club that I have with my work friends. It is called The Lion Women of Tehran. I did go get it, and then I also heavily annotated it, as you can see.
Whoa.
If you're interested in book content, my page is at Palettes and Pages on all socials.
The
This book is
annotator.
yeah, this book is about two best friends in Iran in the 1950s. So it is a historical fiction, and you kind of follow them throughout the like Iranian Revolution and all of that political turmoil that happened in Iran,
Yeah.
and it's still happening. So I did not know a lot about Iranian culture. So this was really cool to read and learn more about. So it inspired me to dig deeper into my knowledge of that culture. So yeah.
Nice.
It's a great book. 5 stars if you're interested.
Hell yeah.
Historical fiction.
I mean, you sold me. That sounds very interesting. Cole says a book he's reading called Dissolution inspired him to slow life down and enjoy memories as I'm making them, because every little detail can be a trigger to recall them later and give me even more chances to relive them. I had a similar experience recently of like, I feel like I don't reflect enough on things in my life, where sometimes I just have trouble recalling things. But separately, the reason I brought this to the table, I saw Sinners yesterday, and that movie blew my fucking mind. I was so impressed. And the reason I ask about inspiration is, I won't spoil anything about the movie, but there's so much attention to detail in that movie, and like time period appropriateness. And like, I was reading about all of these different like consultants that Ryan Coogler brought in for all these different like juke joints, and like the economy of a juke joint and all these things. And it was like just this like attention to detail, I think I found inspirational. Of like, I with Dido, I try to have us attend to detail, but it is the kind of thing. It was like, man, I was just so blown away by how fucking good that movie was. It lit a fire in my ass, and everyone should go see it. It's so fucking good.
Yeah,
Come to Dido for your movie reviews.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Sinners. Michael B. Jordan's hot as fuck.
So fucking hot. Oh my god.
Go see it.
And this is not a spoiler. This is just the names of characters. Two twins being called Smoke and Stack, and they go by Smokestack, is the coolest fucking.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's so fucking cool. Smoke and Stack. Come on. So good. But we are here to talk about video games, specifically the Switch 2, as I've said probably at least twice already, it comes out in a week. And so
Oh,
what
yeah.
better time to talk about it than right now? We've done a lot of analyzing directs and announcements and all these kinds of things. But what we haven't really done yet is look ahead, because I think it's very appropriate to start saying, what's next? What's next? What's next? When we don't even have the thing in our hands yet. So we're going to talk about the next 5 years of the Nintendo Switch, 2 specifically. As a general pulse check, are we all fucking hyped for the Switch 2? Because my hype is through the roof.
I'm hyped.
Yeah,
Heart's
absolutely.
pumping.
It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
Ready to
been
go.
a crazy couple of weeks getting ramped up to it, and I keep on doing the same thing that I think I might have addressed on this show, but keep on thinking so much about the console itself and getting it in the process that day of like waiting for it in the mail, or maybe trying to go grab one at midnight, whatever it's going to look like. And because of that, Mario Kart slips further back in my mind, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the first time we're getting a new Mario Kart in like more than a decade. I'm so amped for Mario Kart next week.
Yeah.
Oh
God, I can't fucking wait. Yeah, I'm having a similar thing, Jake, where because of my housing situation, I have one, like, it's shipping to what I now refer to as my dead house. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta like be on the lookout, because also, if you happen to follow me on Instagram, you'll know that since my house has been destroyed, it's also been robbed. So it's like, fuck, I want to make sure that no one steals my Switch too. So I think I'm gonna be on like watch duty of like just fucking park the car, eyes on it. But it's supposed to be delivered by like 10 a.m. So
correct.
it should be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very exciting. First question I have for us on Switch 2. When do we get Mario? When do we get 3D Mario? Jake.
This year? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
this year, you
sorry. I
think,
jumped
Jerica? No,
around.
no, you're
I was
good.
like, this year? I think we get it then this year before holiday. And if we don't, it's early next year. It's got to be, it's close. I can smell it. I don't know what a plumber smells like other than poop, but Mario don't smell like poop. He smells like sunshine, right? Is that what Mario smells like? I feel like Jake knows. Mario's right behind you.
I feel like this is
Take a little whiff.
Mario's
Take a
right
little
behind
whiff.
me.
Take a sniff.
Come on, take a whiff.
Hey, babe.
Hey, babe. Oh no, I forgot
Oh,
about the hey, babe.
Oh no.
It kind of smells a little bit like some weed I was smoking in here.
Yeah, I guess
That we don't encourage for Twitch.
It's
videos
all
this year.
perfectly legal.
Yes.
Too funny.
Kayla,
I'm
when
with
do you think
Jerica
we get
though.
Mario? Oh yeah, we're with Jerica, Jake.
Yeah, easy as that.
Kayla.
I don't think it'll be this year.
Okay.
I think it'll be next year, and I think it'll be like spring, summer next year that we see it. I don't think we see it this year.
I really hope it's this year for Fantasy Critic. It's still on my team, but I do.
Fair.
Have concerns that it won't be this year. I'm torn on whether or not the Donkey Kong devs are the Mario Odyssey devs, but even if they are, I mean, it's not like there could be another studio working on a 3D Mario game. It's not like they're the only owners of the IP. So I don't know. I go back and forth. Because also, like earlier, I want to say it was maybe Coal Mines that said he'll be excited when we get a Kirby Air Riders date. It's the kind of thing where it's like, are we even sure that's going to be this year? So then, like, is there like there's just so many unknown quantities still. We did finally get a date for Pokemon, which I just remembered and I didn't consider for this show. That's in October, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So then it's like, okay, if we're getting Donkey Kong in July, we're getting Pokemon in October. They said Kirby Air Riders is toward the end of the year. Then there's pockets in there that a Mario could fit. But Jake, do you think that, like, how late is it? Do you think that we could get a Mario announcement and still get it this year?
I am of the opinion that there is a pretty decently sized Nintendo Switch Direct or Nintendo Direct in like the next week and a half. Like I think in this Summer Game Fest era, just because I feel like they need to talk a little bit more. They have sold most early adopters on the launch, but what does the rest of the holiday season look like for us? Because I feel
Sure.
like when I look at that lineup, it's kind of filled, but there's this weird asterisk with these cross-generational Nintendo Switch 1 and Switch 2 stuff that has me wondering where all the development power is. And it sucks because I fucking hate, as much as I love Nintendo, I hate the way they handle their internal development teams and keep it so close to them and don't disclose like what is happening there, because I don't know exactly which team is working on which game or who's preoccupied. But I just feel like there's one more thing that should be out this year that's a Switch 2 exclusive to really fucking get this home, because I feel like going into the holiday season, that can't be the answer. Like Mario Kart is there, Donkey Kong is there, but they need that like November release, that like late October release that I think anchors it, and it can't be Metroid because that's cross-generational. That doesn't sell a Switch 2. And it's not Kirby Air Riders, regardless of how much I like Kirby Air Riders.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Fire Emblem to know if they sell consoles. My gut tells me they don't, that it's not a console seller. But I mean, I think this is a good transition into another kind of generalized question I have of, do you think we get any like old franchises back? I'm talking Kid Icarus, Earthbound, that kind of like a franchise that is, you know, prevalent in Smash or whatever, and used to be around all the time, and we just haven't seen for who the fuck knows how long. Do we think there's something like that for this year, Jerica?
Yeah, I have something to bring up, and I won't. This is one of my weird ones. I told the gang, I can't wait for y'all to hear some of my predictions, and this is one I'm going to throw out there because I love a good flying game. Did a little research. Seems Pilot Wings might be a title that might show up, and there's no rumors with it. Don't quote me on that. But like, I had no idea that it was used as like a technical showcase game. Like Pilot Wings came out when the initial 64 launched, and then they had like something on the 3DS. I can't really remember, but it's been a long time. And I don't know about y'all. Kayla, you probably never heard of that game. Probably never played it.
I haven't.
Okay. Pilot Wings is really fucking cool. I've always enjoyed what that game is or was, and I also love Diddy Kong Racing. I know there's like a gliding situation in Mario Kart, but like, wouldn't it be cool for Pilot Wings to come back in a way that maybe brings, and I'm like, maybe there's too much going on with Mario Kart, but like, bring some Nintendo characters to Pilot Wings. Like, they can have their own airplane. Or, I don't know, Zelda's flying around on something. Link, Kirby's on his star, but maybe that's too much going on. People flying, all these Nintendo mascots flying on their things. I don't know, but I like to see Pilot Wings come back in a big way, and I could see that. Is it going to be a console seller? No, but I think it'd be something cool for Nintendo to say, like, look how cool our console is. Look what this shit it can do now. So,
I mean, we're going to talk about old launch lineups here soon, and Pilot Wings is featured more than once, so could be.
I don't know, any Pilot Wing fans in here? Or is it just
I've actually never played one.
Ice Score Weekly is in there. Of course,
It's me.
in the chat.
Yeah, for sure.
That was one of my favorite games on N64. I played a lot of Pilot Wings.
I had actually never played Pilot Wings for the Super Nintendo, I think it was on Super Nintendo until recently, but I got really into Pilot Wings Resort on 3DS, like heavily. I loved that game. The Nintendo 3DS, spoilers for later if we end up hitting the handhelds, horrendous launch lineup. Steel Diver was one of their launch titles, published by Nintendo. However, Pilot Wings and Nintendogs and Cats were the two big Nintendo titles for the 3DS. And I got both of those on launch day. And Nintendogs and Cats did not hook me again the way the first Nintendogs did. But Pilot Wings brought me there, man. I love that game. It's really cool. And Pilot Wings 64 is on the Nintendo Switch expansion pass with, online subscription. And it is still so fun to play. It's a little like obtuse to control, but give it 15 minutes. That's a fun night of gaming.
Is it is it like Star Fox, but not animals?
No, it's like you're doing like stunts, kind of.
Yeah. Like obstacles and like not quizzes. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like an activity,
challenges.
That's the word. Challenges.
Yeah. It's
like
really
it's challenging.
Not like super realistic either. It's just realistic enough to where it I don't know. It's like a balance. It's not flight simulator, okay?
Sure.
But it's
sure,
not
sure.
like super duper easy either. But it's fun. It's got its own way of
It's
flying.
got-
It's fun.
It's got a really good hook in it where like I'm so glad we're having a 5-minute Pilot Wings conversation.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm one
That's all I want. That's all I want for this podcast.
It's like an arcadey thing that gets its hooks in you in the way that even though there's not much game there, there's still so much to enjoy because you really do want to master it. And it just like activates that little mechanism in your brain like, ooh, I hit just outside of the bullseye with my character. Sure would be nice to hit that bullseye. And you're just like back in there going through the course again, trying to stick the landing and get that high score. It's so nice. And then it doesn't like take itself seriously because it's like kind of like silly sometimes. In like a world before ragdoll physics, you know, you would have had ragdoll physics in this game. Your character's just kind of bouncing off stuff and smashing into the ground. Pilot Wings rules. We gotta play Pilot Wings.
It sounds like maybe we're manifesting Pilot Wings.
Please
and Jerica's
God,
gonna get
I
10
would
points.
just skeet all over the place.
Oh my
It's
God.
really good.
Eat at you?
Yeah, jerking
There's
at you
something
all
there.
over the place.
Yeah,
Pilot
there we go.
Wings.
There it is.
I'm ready.
Hey, can I throw out a really good one from the chat?
Yes.
Google's Games said Star Fox, which we haven't had since Zero. I know we briefly
Oh.
mentioned it,
Ooh.
but it's time, man. I love that.
Have I'm sure I've been annoying on this podcast and talked about how that's a boring franchise.
No, you haven't.
No,
That's
I
foolish.
fucking hate
Please,
Star Fox.
Please go continue.
Like I would love to get a Star Fox to hopefully be proven wrong, but I've
Sure.
never been so fucking bored by a Nintendo franchise other than Star Fox Adventures. But
Star Fox
the
Adventures
gameplay loop of Star Fox to me is just a fucking snooze, dude. So, but it's like I would love to see what is a 2025 Star Fox. Can
Yeah.
it be good? Maybe.
I think
We'll see.
dude, it feels like Star Fox was on the precipice of greatness. They just happened to fail twice in a row. And they're not terrible games. Like there's a lot to love from, I think it's Star Fox Command and then Star Fox Assault and then Star Fox Zero. Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Zero both kind of tried to do a little bit more and almost like bring Star Fox Adventures type things into the Star Fox universe a bit more. And they were close, but no cigar, kind of going with like the gimmicks of the time. Star Fox Zero is kind of a mess. It's arguably Miyamoto's biggest failure, but there's something so special about the Star Fox formula that I feel like if they iterate on it and get it right, Star Fox could work its way into like the Nintendo Hall of Fame of current generational winners. You know, there's so many iconic characters, and Star Fox does seem like a rung down. I think you're right about that.
Do you
would
think
love
there's a world in which we get a Star Fox Adventures, something that, because it's been so long, maybe this is already in Star Fox Adventures and I just forget because I played that game like 25 years ago, of where it has the like 3D action platforming and also the space levels, and like a
hear me
mix of
out.
them both?
I think yes. I mean, the thing that comes to mind is like, what is Naughty Dog doing with Intergalactic? Because I'm thinking about a Star Fox Adventures comparison for right now would probably be like an Uncharted type of thing, you know, or maybe like Enslaved
Sure.
Odyssey to the West if you want to go a bit more obscure as far as like how it might play. But that could be like a really cool thing to make Fox like super nimble and running on walls and grappling vines and stuff like that. And then you think about that, if you compare it to Naughty Dog, you think of Intergalactic, which is going to have some kind of spacefaring adventure. That would fit the bill too. I don't know if they have the sauce to make a third person game like that, but imagine Nintendo's take on kind of one of those Uncharted, God of War, Last of Us, that third person sort of cinematic experience. Star Fox could be a really cool vessel for that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Look, if that happens, I'll probably take a 180 on the franchise.
Our friend Poogle's Games in the chat said, while talking to the director of Star Fox Adventures, he mentioned that he was going back to Japan to meet with the original Star Fox designer. And I asked if he could say what for, and he said no comment. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
More crystal on my screen soon.
Very interesting.
Let me fire off just some quick ones, and I won't.
Yeah.
I won't go on a 20-minute tirade about Scribblenauts. But what if we got another
Hell
Scribblenauts? I
Hell
love
yeah.
Scribblenauts
Rules.
so much.
Mhm.
It is so good. It's a great party game. It's just a great game overall. We haven't had one since 2018, but we did get it on the Switch. I don't remember if that was at launch. Did the Switch launch in 2018?
I think it did. I think we got a Scribblenauts on some launch. Let me look at
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that was I love these games. I think that would be a great addition. The other one that I wanted to mention was the Advanced Wars games, the Wars series. Yes, I love those games. And we did recently get like the reboot. I haven't actually played it in 2023. So I don't obviously that means like I feel like that means it's like top of mind at some capacity. Like they're thinking about it. So what if we got like a continuation of the series? I think that could do well on the Switch too.
That would be pretty dope.
Totally agree.
Wii U launched with a Scribblenauts game, which we will talk more in depth about later.
yeah.
Cool.
I forgot about Scribblenauts. That could be a fun one to bring back.
I love it.
Another franchise on my mind, F-Zero. Do we think we might see F-Zero in the next few years, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like, but I don't know. That's to be hopeful for F-Zero seems futile at this point. But the biggest glimmer of hope we've had in a long time came with F-Zero 99 launches like a year and a half ago. Right. And that was like testing the waters, like, is F-Zero popular? And I think the answer was like, for a brief period of time, kind of, yeah. Like it was a dated thing. It's a battle royale thing. It's an acquired taste. Not sure how well it performed, but it was a cool thing to throw out there. And then right on the heels of that, we get, you know, the first batch of GameCube backwards compatible games is F-Zero GX. I think people, when they get into the Switch backwards compatibility app and they play Zelda, they're going to think that Zelda feels old. And I think when they get there and they play Soul Calibur, they're going to feel like Soul Calibur feels old. When they boot up F-Zero GX, people are going to say, this was on the fucking GameCube. That game runs at a smooth 60, fast as fuck, and looks dope as hell. Like, I think that game is going to blow some minds in 2025 still. And I think that could be the splash that we need to get it popping. I don't know.
Incredible.
Any other franchises that we hope to come back before I go to my next question?
Well, I mean, this isn't an old, well, it is old as far as like how far it goes back, but there is recent iterations. I want an Animal Crossing game.
Oh,
so
sure.
bad.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Does that fill the gap of like the holiday time? Like maybe like a November, like a September?
I got a whole
Probably not.
spreadsheet on Animal Crossing
Okay.
y'all are ready.
Okay, perfect.
Let me know
I'm
when
ready.
y'all are ready for that.
Jerica, I'm ready.
Okay, buckle up, partners.
You do.
I don't think we're seeing Animal Crossing until 2027, y'all.
Wow. Okay. Take us on a walk.
I think
My
it's going
lunch
to be
is
a while.
packed.
I think it's going to be a while, but because like, what do you do next in Animal Crossing other than find a new house and make some friends and, I don't know, buy something from the Nooks kids? But honestly, like, with the hardware where it's at, once we get our hands on it, see what is possible, play these games, see them, believe them. Where could Animal Crossing go? And I do think, I mean, what if it's like global at this point? What if the next Animal Crossing is called New Frontiers? And obviously it was an island last time. You just hung out on your island, but now you can go and find new islands, new regions, set up shop. Maybe you become the mayor. And then, like, I don't know, maybe find some other village, maybe that Jake's got, and I freaking conquer it. I want to be the mayor of Jakestown. I take over. Like, those are just some concepts, but like, what if it's so big that literally we can just like take a boat to another world or another country, another region? That's something I hope for. I hope it's on that kind of scale, especially bringing in like, you know, they had a little bit of multiplayer. You could come over and visit my island, but like, I don't know. I want it to be bigger than that. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do next, but I feel like the Switch 2 should be able to handle it. I mean, I have the same similar spiel for the next Pokemon game, but I think Animal Crossing is definitely it's going to be a minute. I think we wait a few years for that one, but it's going to be big.
I think you might be right. I think they might be waiting for the next global pandemic, which could be any day now. But Eula in the chat says space. Do you think, is there a world in which Animal Crossing goes to space, Jerica?
I would hope. They would. If the Switch OLED came out the same year that came out, they got me again. They got me again.
Perfect segue.
I don't know if we're going to go space yet. Maybe the Switch 3.
I think here's to challenge you a little bit, Jerica.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the most knowledgeable Animal Crossing fan. I mean, really, the Switch one was like the first one I really played. And I've gone back and I've played the GameCube one a little bit, definitely legally. and I played the 3DS one actually legally a little bit. But what I was surprised by in those older games was how similar they were to the Switch one. Like, obviously, the Switch one had bells and whistles. It had like there were things that were different, things that were new, things that were the same too. I wonder if Animal Crossing needs to be reinvented that much, or if it just needs a new place with a new coat of paint. Maybe they update the art style a touch. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I get for a new Animal Crossing, is just a little bit more of the same, but just like changing a little thing, a little bit here and there.
I agree with you, but I think it found a whole other category during when it came out. I think it was something. I think the moment it came out changed Animal Crossing for the rest of its life. Animal Crossing is never going to be the same, but it will be the same. But I think it's found new legs. And I think if, you know, obviously we were all sort of stuck at home, but man, I bet so many people never played Animal Crossing. That was their first. And Nintendo was probably like, what the fuck? I'm so glad we put this out then. I'm glad. I hate that there's a pandemic right now. I'm sure they thought that. They're probably just selling bukus of Switches for this game. But I don't know. I think it's found a new top shelf on the Nintendo lineup after that. I'd be interested to see. I mean, I don't know how it,
perspective.
I don't know it sells, how it's sold, but I'm sure
it sold so fucking well.
And I pulled the stuff. I pulled it, and it's so good. And I got to back Jerica up on this. Animal Crossing for GameCube, 2.7 million. Wild World, which was DS, I believe, 11, almost 12 million. Just over 3 million for City Folk, which was Wii. New Leaf, which was 3DS, 13 million. 3 million for Happy Home Designer on Wii U. Less than $1 million for Amiibo Festival, also on Wii U. Also the same year. They were fucking really trying to murder that series.
Can I guess? On
Switch?
25 million.
All right, Kayla, what do you think?
50 million.
50 million. Jerica?
32 million.
32. The winner is Kayla. 47.4 million copies. More than the franchise cumulatively.
Higher.
Insane. More than the entire franchise sold cumulatively thus far was
doubled
by
even?
Just
that's
close
crazy.
Close to it.
That's fucking
crazy.
Nuts. I mean, and so that's an interesting thing of like, okay, we sold this much now we have to do something new.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm sure people got a Switch just for this fucking game, and now they're like, when is Animal Crossing here for my Switch too? I'm not gonna get it till that Animal Crossing game comes out.
There's a lot of sickos out there, including me. You know?
Yeah, I don't know though. I'm kind of torn of like, do they need to reinvent it, or will they just say, hey, as long as we get 50% of them, we're making fucking money.
That's true.
Let's just put out a good product. I don't know.
I think they got to figure out something to keep me playing for longer, because like I haven't touched it since
that's
2020, May 2021. I haven't. My village is all grown. Like all my villagers are dead unless they're just eating each other. It's probably how they're surviving.
No.
I don't know, like something to keep me engaged. I know it had. Did it ever get a DLC?
It got some DLC.
The Happy Home.
Meaningful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think if it can launch in a bigger scale, or I was a big Sims player. I haven't touched the Sims also in a really long time, but like maybe go in deeper with some of the Sim stuff. Like I obviously decorating your house is fun. I don't know, like. Let them romance each other. Let them bang. Why can't they?
Let me fuck the villagers.
When will the
villagers want to buy and keep playing? It's gonna bang in the game
for sure. I used to have this little sheep man with a tie-dye shirt, no pants, and I used to say he's like got the most virgin and like energy ever, and I would love to set him up with a shorty or something in my world. I know it's hard out there for you.
Have a family.
I got 3 pillars of what needs to change, and I think I'm with Jerica on all of this for Animal Crossing. So I saw somebody in the chat was talking about they just need post-launch support, which is 100% true. And I think I want to talk about DLC a lot during these predictions because I think Nintendo is turning a new leaf when it comes to DLC. Post-launch support fucking essential. Obviously, keep things interesting. I think they started to figure it out. They had like the Mario collaboration DLC, which was really good and brought me back in as a player to get like a Wario hat and dress my character up like an asshole. But it was not substantial. That's the second pillar that I feel like they need. And they need to have, I guess these two kind of go together, but the two pillars are, one is the online connective multiplayer. More places to go, more things that you can do. If you learned anything from this last iteration of New Horizons, I hope that it was that people want to play together. And then the other pillar that I think goes hand in hand with that is give us something to fucking do together other than look at each other's shit, because that's really all you can do. And that's one of the biggest criticisms that I had from people in my life that were playing Animal Crossing for the first time was, okay, cool, you came and checked out my island. Now what do we do? I'm like, you come check out my island and then we fuck off. Like, it's so frustrating to have a wrestling ring that you just roll onto like a bed and then roll off on. Like, let me have a little mini game where it's like kick, punch, kick or something like that. Even if they're all like WarioWare style micro games where I'm just trying to hit high scores. I remember the original Animal Crossing for GameCube had in-game NES games that played on an arcade deck inside your house, because sometimes Animal Crossing's fucking boring. Like, you need something to do other than like tasks. You gotta be able to have some fun. And I think that's a good thing that they could embrace, is just like something to do with your homies. Invite them over for a fun night of Animal Crossing instead of a show off.
What if you like, I literally just imagine like playing volleyball, like outside, like on the beach, something like that, like how goofy it would feel and silly, but like mini games.
Put Wii Sports in Animal Crossing.
Whoa.
Serious Shards taking the words right out of my mouth. Venus Vacation. Take some inspiration for the Dead or Alive series.
Sure. Huh. Very interesting. I want to pull from the Discord for a second. Another launch prediction. This is from Eldon Bingus, the homie. Says, I think mouse mode is going to be a bigger deal for first-person games and mouse/keyboard games than people think. FPSs are going to be much more attractive to play on Switch 2. There will be a lot of Nintendo fans who might breach into new game genres because of this control scheme. Do we agree with Lord Eldon Bingus?
I do, and I think I keep forgetting about the mouse functionality completely. And I think there has to be something that is already going to be utilizing that besides the tech demo, which we won't mention because we all have trauma. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be games that are built with that functionality in mind, because otherwise I don't think it would exist there. So I'm curious to see like what happens with it.
I don't ever see myself using it.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be like the forgotten about thing, or if Nintendo is really going to support it. Because I can see it going either way.
High Score Weekly has a good point about multiple FPS games already confirmed to support. I think that'll be interesting, like how it will partner. Because I'll be honest with you, I never gravitate towards my Switch for those type of games.
Yeah, why would you?
So maybe this would change that depending on how well it feels. I guess we'll just see.
The problem that we'll run into with the mouse mode is that it will never be a universal way to control your games. And they can make games, even big budget ones or mid budget ones, like the fucking Power X Rollers or whatever it's called. But it doesn't matter if you are on an airplane, you're stuck in handheld mode. Like, now you can't play that fucking game. And I am a person who has basically given up the couch to favor sitting at the fucking battle station and playing all of my games, console or otherwise, right here at my setup. So I have an optimal setup for the Switch 2 where I can try this mouse mode, and I have a mouse pad right in front of me and I'm all set up and ready to go. But a lot of people are still sit on the couch console gamers, and I don't know how comfortable it's going to be to do that on like your fucking thigh while you're wearing sweatpants or lean forward onto the table.
What about little Timmy? All the kids that were, buying this for their kids. Can little Timmy do that? I don't know. Yeah. Can he use a mouse like that?
The only thing that I have heard is that from, I think their early hands-on and stuff is especially breaking over this last week, and I think it might have something to do with these getting into people's hands at this point. As far as everything that we're hearing, is that the mouse is like pretty fucking capable. I think it doesn't feel like a,
that's good.
I think about it, I'm like, oh, everything Nintendo does for a weird control scheme is just going to control like a Wii remote, which is like fine. But apparently it feels like a real fucking mouse, and it's a pretty hot ticket with all the buttons. So.
I will say I am worried For me, like I play, if look at 1,000 hours of playtime on my Switch, I would say 950 of them were in handheld mode. I mostly use this as a handheld console.
Me
Every
too.
now and then, I like things like Tears of the Kingdom, I might do like 50-50 because it's just nice to have the bigger screen. But a lot of games I don't, unless it's like play Mario Kart with friends. Like then, of course, it's going to be on the screen. But I worry that if I might hold like, how is the screen being held up if I'm just like lounging in a chair
For sure.
with mouse mode? So like that, it's a concern for sure. But maybe if it's good enough, maybe that will inspire me to use the TV more, perhaps.
Whoa,
Are
inspired.
you handheld gamers? You ever be in bed playing on your Switch and you got your Switch like right up on your chest and then you let go of it and it hits you in the fucking face?
Yes.
Yeah,
It happens.
absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah,
100%.
I do. It happens with my Switch too. OLED, switch to OLED. Do we think it's going to happen, Jerica?
I do, and I fucking hate it. I
Yeah?
hate it that I don't have it right now, but I'm not going to be an asshole. I don't want this thing to be even more expensive, and it probably would have been more difficult to mass produce, but it's coming. I once again, I think they'd be smart to have this come out with a banger, a big title. So it just depends on, I don't think it's at least 3 years away, 3 or 4 years away. I don't know what y'all think, like time wise, right?
Sure.
But, I mean, that'd be dope for it to come out when the new Animal Crossing comes out. Cause like, it's either going to be the new Zelda game, Animal Crossing. Those are the two that come to mind that make me want to already upgrade a console I physically don't have yet.
With
That
the
I'm getting
original
next week.
How long did it take for the original Switch to launch with OLED? Or
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
4
it was
years, I think. 4 or 5
Oh.
years, right?
Okay.
Something like that.
I think
That
so.
seemed long to me, but I'm not a knower when it comes to that kind of technology.
Was it 2021? Yeah, Cog in the chat says 2021.
You know why Cog knows?
Why?
It came out the same day as Metroid Dread.
Ha, got him. There it is.
Yeah, he fucking said he just said it in chat, dude. Right as I said that out loud.
Got him. Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if we're gonna get it this time because like the initial reports are that this new screen is just so much better than the original Switch's screen that I wonder if it's close enough to OLED that the juice won't be worth the squeeze, perhaps.
Ask me next week.
Yeah,
I can't wait to put my eyes on it.
Yeah.
Real close.
And however many hours or in a week, right here on twitch.tv/drop-in-drop-out-pod, we will be saying whether or not the screen is good as an OLED or not.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up something. Oh, what, Jake?
I was going to ask what game you think would launch alongside the Nintendo Switch 2 OLED. On the horn.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, Jerica.
I like when you said. I was going to say Zelda. I think.
Yeah,
Zelda.
I mean that would make sense for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would go crazy.
Yeah, that would be fucking huge. But which is a great segue. I was trying to get us to Zelda. Where does Zelda go from here? When do we think we see it? Right now, we're maybe predicting whenever we see the OLED. But is it Tears of the Kingdom 2? Is it they go back to the kind of OG formula? Is it something in between? Jake, where do you think Zelda goes with Switch 2?
I'm so sorry if you guys don't care about Zelda. Maybe like take a bathroom break or something like that. But
take a bathroom break.
Here we go. When it comes to Zelda, I think we are going to get a lot of it, but I hope we get even more of it. I think Zelda right now is on a really good trajectory, especially with its two mainline funnels that every Zelda game seems to be going through right now. And that is the first one, which is led by Eiji Onuma, who did Breath of the Wild. He's done 1,000 Zelda games, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That team, I assume, is working on a follow-up to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which I do not believe takes place in that Zelda universe. It will be new timeline, new Link, new Zelda, new story, new Hyrule, but it will have the same open world properties. It will feel like a successor to, it'll be the Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time in that situation.
Sure.
Then you have the second pillar of Zelda's right now, which seems to be led by Grezzo. I don't know how to say Grezzo.
I don't believe they are Italian, which would be grezzo.
Grezzo. I think they should consider becoming Italian because that's a pretty sound. It's a pretty good look.
Yeah.
They are doing the top-down 2D Zeldas, and I would assume that they will probably kind of do a back and forth where they did Link's Awakening DX, and that was kind of their tryout. They absolutely fucking nailed it. Your top-down Zelda was great. It was a good remake, faithful remake. Then they used that art style, and I'm assuming a bunch of fucking assets, and they create a brand new original Zelda in the form of Echoes of Wisdom. And when they made that game, there was a vision for Echoes of Wisdom very early on to become like a 2D Zelda maker at that point, but it evolved into something that was a little bit more scripted and less open. They made it a brand new Zelda adventure. I'm assuming they have a toolkit ready to go to create a lot more 2D games. I would love to see them continue remaking. Maybe we get A Link to the Past next. Maybe we get Oracle of Ages and Seasons, or both rolled into one, and then continue making follow-ups, because I loved Echoes of Wisdom. Continue making brand new stuff as well. New adventures that are top down. What's missing in Zelda right now is traditional 3D Zeldas. We have replaced them with these new school 3D Zeldas. I think there should be a third team doing this. It doesn't have to be the original team. That is a style of gameplay that has been emulated now at this point successfully by multiple franchises. Somebody at Nintendo internally or even externally as like a second party with a published by Nintendo, similar to the way that Grezzo does it, you could do 3D Zeldas the way that we came to expect them for 2 decades. Something that is in that universe of Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, to a lesser extent, Skyward Sword. I think that we need something that plays out traditionally with its dungeons and doesn't have the open world mechanic and is a bit more of a guided situation where you're unlocking items in dungeons that help you progress through those dungeons and open up more of that open world. Need that back, man.
I would love that. I know there's been rumors of like a Ocarina remake, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would love any version of that, whether it's we finally get the Wind Waker re-release, we get a new Ocarina, but yeah, I do miss that traditional Zelda vibe, because I mean, I love all of them. I think all pillars are great when it comes to Zelda. I just want more Zelda. And it's like, it seems like they're usually on like a year and a half, 2 years at most cadence for the last several years. So I'm hoping that we get something early next year.
That formula as well that Grezzo's doing, where if somebody remakes Ocarina of Time to look pretty and with this brand new engine, go ahead and then use that engine, asset flip, and make more Zeldas, and then do the same thing every other remake. Wind Waker after that, and then do another original one.
Could be good. Jerica, Kayla, any Zelda thoughts on when we might see Zelda and what we might see?
I'm not a knower, unfortunately, but I could be with this new Switch too. I've never played. The only Zelda game I've played is a bit of Breath of the Wild, but otherwise it's not a franchise that I grew up with, like playing, so I never really got into it, but I would love to. It's a beautiful, very cozy, but also like a lot to it, which I love. Somebody in the chat, it was High Score Weekly, said that the movie is coming out in spring of 2027. So there could be either a release timed around then or like a re-release of some sort or remake.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Huge.
Could.
I can see that. Yeah. So here's the deal. Like, Wind Waker's my favorite Zelda game. Ugh. I just love the art style and I love the gameplay. I love getting on that little fucking boat and sailing the high seas. And God, what could they just could do so much with, and it's back to that, situation where I still haven't beat Wind Waker. It's one of my favorite ones, but I've never beaten it because I always get pulled. First time I was too young and my house burned down, including my GameCube. So that's a story for another time. So I just didn't get back to it till I was in high school. And then I always wanted to get back, but I just never finished it. And then it came out on the Wii U and I sold that son of a bitch. And I'm mad that I did because apparently it was the best thing to play older games on, according to Jake. So and I got really close on that too, but I still haven't beaten it. Without spoiling me, it could, and I know there's a sequel on a Game Boy Advance or something. Help me out, Jake. I'm just looking at you all of this.
And maybe Hourglass Link.
That is a sequel, right? To Wind Waker?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not And now we pick up from the end of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of sequel, but it is.
Universe.
Yeah, but it's same universe.
I would love to live in a world where I would be okay with them not remaking it, bringing it back, if I knew there was a new Wind Waker story to be told. Because
sure.
like on a new console, just imagine how vast this ocean could be, and I could go like underwater exploring. Maybe there's like sunken treasure in some boats, like Zelda goes underwater. Like what the fuck?
Oh,
That'd be so fucking cool. And just like I don't know, Assassin's Creed Red, what is it? Black Flag, Red Flag.
Ooh,
I've never played that either. Apparently,
Zelda on boats.
I want Zelda on boats and like ocean, just everywhere. And like that's what I want. I want them to revisit an old story or an older title, but I want a new chapter in it. So that's what I want from Zelda.
Somehow I've never considered that they could just make new Wind Waker.
I
only ever wanted them to bring back Wind Waker. And now that is actually the thing I want most in video games. More Zelda or more Link on the fucking open seas in that beautiful art style. Oh, Jerica, what have you done?
Nathan Drake. You know, he's like Nathan Drake out there exploring and finding treasure and shit. Like, I don't know. I don't know how it ends. I don't know if it could have more story to it. I'm sure it left sort of open-ended and probably defeated Ganon again. And
sure, I mean,
so Jerica, I need to be there. You have to stream it. I forbid you from playing Wind Waker off stream. You need to do it, or at least stream you finally beating the game. I will settle for.
Yeah,
because I want to be there when you beat that.
We should figure out a Wii U situation. Because the Wii U version, the upgrades are worth it in terms of like it cleans up some questing stuff and it makes traversal so much easier. I think we need to do a Jerica streams Wind Waker situation.
I'm so ready. I miss it so fucking much. I want to get back to it.
Jake brings his Wii U to Jerica and then they play it while they hold
High Score Weekly says that you can borrow his.
Perfect.
I'll take very good care of it. But yeah, I'd love that. That's the only thing I need it for. I just want to beat this game finally. Because I don't know if we'd get it. If we don't get a remake, I think they might be working on something new in that place. Like, because like it's just people want it so bad. If we don't get it in the next 3 years, maybe there's a new game instead. I don't know.
Squanky in the chat says, "I'm glad I didn't miss this week's Jake forbids women from doing things segment."
God.
Squanky,
for fun though, for fun.
Squanky, Noah, and Coal Mines are always trying to just get me to fucking break in an episode, and it's the best. It's my favorite thing. The chats they send in are just heinous all the time. Any rapid fire final kind of prediction-y things? I have one other question on the predictions topic to ask, but want to throw it out to y'all before I wrap up the topic. Anything that you haven't said that's on your heart?
I think we get additional color Joy-Cons for holiday this year.
Holiday Joy-Cons. I like that a lot.
And I think that they will be something. I think we'll get two options. I think we'll get a more neutral option and we'll get a bright ass option like the last.
Do you think at some point they how do I ask this question? Will the base color always be black and it's the rim color that changes, or do you think we get it to where like the black is also like a bright color? Kayla.
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about that. Maybe both, but I think they'll start with the base color being different, or the whole thing, because I feel like there's just, I mean, that's a money grab. People will buy them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think it'll happen either this holiday or next holiday. I feel like they need something this holiday to be like, oh, you can get something like alongside, like an accessory of some sort. So yeah.
Hell yeah. Any other final?
I got a couple of them. I wrote down like a bunch of like rapid fire ones, but I think Tamagotchi Life will exceed expectations on sales and might have like a mini Animal Crossing moment. Like, I don't think it's going to put up 40 million copies or anything like that. But if the best-selling Tamagotchi Life game was on the 3DS and it was massive in Japan, it could blow up really big internationally.
Sure. Do we have a date for that?
2020, vague 2026 for Tamagotchi and Rhythm Heaven. That's the only first-party plans that we know for 2026, I believe, right now, confirmed for Switch 1 or 2, assuming that those will be playable at the very least, if not cross-generational with Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Metroid Prime 4 will underperform. financially. I have Mario Kart. This is kind of more like a broad thing, but I think like Mario Kart DLC is gonna go crazy.
Oh, it's
I
gonna
think
go so
that
crazy.
last year or last console generation with the Switch, they really bought in. They started to test the waters on Wii U for sure, but they really bought into DLC, especially towards the end of the life cycle. They nailed it with Smash Brothers, obviously, and I'm assuming the only reason they stopped doing that was Sakurai. I think Smash Brothers will come out within the first 5 years of the console generation and also have just insane DLC. Smash Brothers Ultimate DLC was wild, and this one will be a reboot, and every single person that they announce is going to be fucking hype. It's going to be unbelievable. But yeah,
How do
between
they
that,
top themselves with that? I feel like that's just one franchise. I just don't know where else you go from here.
I know it is tough. Ultimate is such a comprehensive package,
Sheesh.
but
Don't
they have
envy
to do
that.
something. I'm assuming reboot.
Yeah.
What if they did it in Wind Waker art style? What if it was like a super hyper specific art style and everyone was redone?
That was my ski
I don't.
gesture.
This
That
might
was
be a
inappropriate.
dumb. This might be a dumb question because I just don't know Smash well enough. It's just never a franchise that's really spoken to me. Would it make sense for them to like remake an old one like Brawl or something like that? But
They would
and
make
then
Melee.
Sure, Melee, and then they bring in a fuck ton of new characters too.
Ooh, I like that idea quite a bit. Because that's what all like I think it's like Project M or all the fan projects do is like Melee's system is so comprehensive. If you rebuild that and ship it stock and then start adding characters to that format, that could be a really good way to kind of a backdoor a remake / sequel. Both
could be
really solid.
We have some great suggestions from the chat. Serious Short said Super Smash Bros, but it's a dating sim. I'm in.
Nice.
I'm in.
Oh, we smashing.
Squanky said new
smashing
Smash, but it's only accessible from your Animal Crossing arcade on your island.
No, that sounds good. That's very good.
Good.
Jake, any other final ones from you?
Sakurai is going to be back on Smash.
Hell yeah.
I think he does it again. I think even though it kills him to do, I think he's getting to make his little Kirby game right now, and they might let him do his little Kid Icarus game after this. But I think it's whatever we will pay you unlimited dollars, generational wealth to make this fucking.
Not that he doesn't already have it. I'm sure.
I was gonna say. I mean, surely.
Jerica, any final things from you before
I have one last thing, and I just want this is just my fucking brain coming up with like, what could we see this character do next? And I'm talking about this guy right here, Kirby. You know, obviously he's flying around on stars. They had the Forgotten Lands. Is it Forgotten Lands? I always want to say Forgotten Kingdom. I can't keep up. That whatever
it was
one I thought was The Last of Us, but it was Kirby for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That game's fun. I enjoyed playing. I didn't beat it, but I got pretty far, probably like at least 60, 70% done. That was a good time. I like seeing Kirby. I guess, I don't know. I was about to say suck things and then turn into things. This is dirty, but that's what he's doing. I'd like to see Kirby do something different though. And what if we put Kirby in a type of genre that we have never seen him in? And correct me if I'm wrong if we have, but like, what if it's a Metrovania style Kirby game? Okay, lean into go after people like me. I can't play Metroid Dread. Maybe I can. Maybe I'll find out tomorrow. It's the best thing I've ever played, and I can handle it. But I don't know. It seems pretty hard. Yes, Campos in the chat. Animal Well, but Kirby. That's what I want. Fucking up animals, turning into them. There's different biomes, and they have different abilities. Like, Kirby
personally.
Metrovania star, you know?
It could be. I won't be playing that game, but I want to play French Dip Designs Kirby Sucking and Turning. That's the game I want to play.
Maybe. Well, I put in my notes, you know, it's just a classic float and suck game, you know?
Sure.
Like Kojima Strand games. Kirby's just a float and suck.
Yeah.
If you ain't floating, you're sucking.
That's it.
Kirby has a really interesting year ahead of him, though, because we have Forgotten Land is getting its Nintendo Switch 2 edition that is kind of being positioned as they've pretty tactically put these things together where we're kind of getting a big influx of Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrades month by month. over the next few months. So instead of all of them coming out at once, we're only getting the 2 Zelda games on launch day. And then in the middle of July, end of July, there's the Mario Party Jamboree plus TV thing that uses a lot of the Switch 2 functionality. And then it's August for Kirby. And the Kirby one in particular has the most substantial, like, additional traditional content, I guess.
Sure.
Because it is expansion to a Nintendo 3D platformer that sold really well, and if it's a paid upgrade path for a pretty like decent amount of new extra content, which looks like it's a full expansion, we might be in good shape for getting a little outside of like normal popularity for big Nintendo Switch 2 games. That one could hit as a pretty substantial one. Is in that lull of a time, like August, it's the dregs of the summer, not much coming out. All of a sudden, there's new Kirby to ingest for a low introductory price of $20 if you already owned the first one.
Sure.
Unintended, for sure.
Exactly. The only other thing on my mind, and this is something that High School Weekly convinced me of a few weeks ago, I think the next big Nintendo thing we get is Splatoon. I think whatever,
that's true.
Like, it's just, I think it's such a slam dunk. I think I didn't before, but now I do. Of like, I think there's no way we don't go 12 months from now and don't have at least a Splatoon 4 announcement.
Yeah.
Also, great question from the chat from Swanky Joinkers. If Nintendo could buy up one existing IP, other console, TV, book, whatever you want, and make it their own, what would you want it to be?
Whoa. That's a big question. That could be a whole podcast for itself.
It could be a whole podcast. That's exactly right.
Can we save that to be its own podcast? But just give like one answer now.
Yeah. For me, it's
no
Halo.
credit to Swanky for inventing it.
Yeah. My answer is Halo.
Okay.
Maybe they'll make Halo good again.
Dude, I'm going.
My answer's so random.
God, I gotta look at a list.
Do you want
I
to
can't just think of things like this? It's like a list of great video games.
We're great hosts here. We know what we're talking about.
I just have a horrible memory.
I would want them to do a Viva Pinata game.
Oh, that's the answer. That's the answer.
Can you imagine playing that on your Nintendo Switch?
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the answer.
That's the answer, folks. They would do a great job.
Folks, is that
mine is a little bit cheating because I just want them to grab Banjo back. Microsoft's not doing anything with them. I know it was Rare originally, but can we just get a Nintendo 3D platformer made with love starring Banjo-Kazooie? At least we'll get a game.
I mean, that's a very good answer. Jerica, you got anything? You can say no.
I want to come up with something. I have one pick, but I'm like, things are just Nintendo. What else? Halo was a good one. Halo was a good one.
Things are already.
Give me 10 more seconds.
I was looking at Jerica's stuff in the background of her setup, and I was just like trying to get inspiration of like, what if Nintendo did like fucking Final Fantasy VII, like, a new iteration, and it could be all like almost. They have that mobile game that kind of already does it, but I'm just thinking about like the way that they did Mario RPG, which again I know was Square Enix at that point, but like a very chibi but like upgraded modern fidelity version of that could be kind of rad.
Yeah, that's true.
I landed on Metal Gear Solid. I like to see what they would do with that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I love it. I love that answer.
You and Sirius at the same time in chat. Metal Gear Solid. Bring Kojima back if he wants. Fuck Konami.
Sirius is my best friend. We're the best friends.
Have we ever seen Sirius Shard? Do we know? Is Sirius Shard Jerica's alt?
I wasn't typing on my keyboard.
Could be.
Starting a rumor.
The very last question I have for this topic is one that I think I know who put this in the doc. Who's the hottest character in the Mario universe? Jake?
I got an answer.
Yeah.
Think I'm going these days. Preference? Pauline?
Whoa.
Of course you are. Of course you are. You're in her rock version from DK Bonanza, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Bowser's a great answer from Yulha. Any other people come to mind? For me, Dry Bones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then Bones be dry.
Guy again.
Yeah.
Hi, Rosalina. She's an emo girly. You know what I mean?
I mean, she's the real answer. Rosalina.
She's the great answer. I would also argue Bowser, just because we love a baddie.
Sure.
And I love a little cute shy guy too. He's just like,
yep.
you know.
Yep. really good ones from chat. Birdo got that Gluck Gluck Snoz from our very own Dumpster Boy, which I wish I hadn't read out loud.
Yeah.
Madame Flurry, which is very good. Funky Kong, excellent answer. Very good stuff.
I mean, Birdo, talk about sucking and turning. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Let's. I think
I forgot
go
to
ahead,
say,
Jerica.
yeah, just the red, blue, and yellow Pikmin. They get me going. They're so hot.
That feels illegal.
I just want them to crawl over my body, pick
I
me
don't
up.
like it.
If there was like 40 of them, they could pick me up maybe and carry me to bed.
Ain't nothing get me wetter than a Pikmin. I tell you what, brother.
I'd like to retract my previous statement. I choose Baby Yoshi.
No, no.
Listen, I was sitting here and I started thinking about Birdo, and I was like, a Birdo game would be cool. And then I was like, no, it wasn't. No, it wouldn't. But you know what would be cool? And I was just thinking about Nintendo characters that don't have games. We've talked about this before. My last fucking prediction: in the next 5 years, we will finally get a Waluigi video game.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
That's a great.
Like an RPG, like kind of.
Oh, I would love if it was an RPG. Oh my God. That sounds
so
cool. Or a hack and slash. I don't know.
Oh, like a
Ooh,
bullet
yeah.
heaven, like Waluigi
my
game.
God.
Hell yeah.
Yes, please. Waluigi is like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Whoa.
That's good. Okay, so we've been talking all these fun things about the Nintendo Switch 2. I want to be a hater for a second, if I may. I think I've already seen some people in the chat disagree with me, not realizing that they're disagreeing with me, talking about the Switch 2 launch lineup. I might be in trouble for this, but I think the Switch 2 launch lineup is fucking dog shit.
Whoa.
Like, really, I feel like there's just Mario Kart Worlds, and that's it. And so I wanted
mean that
to.
It's dog shit. I think that's a lot of game. It's a lot of game.
Sure, that's one game, but it's one game.
Yeah.
And I can't. I'm gonna put hundreds of hours into Mario Kart World, but I think I feel like a lot of people are arguing that there's just so much third-party support, but it's like, I've already played Cyberpunk. I've already played and hated Split Fiction. I've already played so many of these fucking games. I didn't finish, but I played Bravely Default like fucking 25 years ago whenever it came out. I don't need it again. Like, I feel like right now, so much of the Switch 2's launch lineup is hanging on the backs of games that have fucking come out already. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. In a few months, we get more Mario Party. It's like, I think it's very disappointing that I am only going to get to play Mario Kart World when, I mean, sure, in a month I get Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, man, I am surprised that there's not more. And so then I started looking at other launch lineups, and I was like, oh wow, Nintendo launch lineups historically aren't great. But before we start looking at previous launch lineups, I want to go around the horn. Jake, how do you feel about the Switch 2 launch lineup?
I feel pretty good about it. I think that it is, as somebody who has been around for most of the Nintendo launch lineups, that I have more to do on this console, and I know that some of it is not traditional, and it's like the enhanced stuff from another console that we've already played, or just backwards compatibility of GameCube games that were inaccessible on modern consoles before, and then the supplement of like third-party stuff is pretty impressive for little Timmy, who's getting his first console this holiday season. I think that there's a pretty good amount of stuff to check out for the first time for that individual. It is tough as like jaded gamer players that have already played Cyberpunk, that have already played Split Fiction, to not care about those, but there's definitely a large amount of people that are like, fuck man, I got this shitty school laptop and I want to play Cyberpunk so bad for so many years, and now I'm finally going to do it on my dad's Nintendo. That is something that is like a pretty appealing thing that they might get the opportunity to get. But I did have this like really scary thought thinking about Donkey Kong Bonanza last night, and I was like, it's so close to launch that it feels launch window to me. If they put out the Switch and then delayed Donkey Kong Bonanza out of July, I would fucking really think about the Switch 2 launch differently.
Sure. That'd be fucking huge. Honestly, it's only one game, but I feel like if you could say that the first 2 games I can play on the Switch 2 is a new 3D Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, that'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something, and I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's a mental thing, but that they're only being really Mario Kart World, because like Noah in the chat makes a great point that we don't buy Nintendo for third-party games. Now they're trying to change that narrative, and they're trying to make it to where we buy a Nintendo console for the third-party games. But historically, we don't, because we don't need to. Partially because they weren't supported, but it's the kind of thing where I feel like most gamers that are listening to a podcast about video games have third-party games on something other than a Nintendo console. But Kayla, how do you feel about the Nintendo Switch 2's launch?
I do think it is cool, like, thinking about that, though, like, the people who are I think that the average person, like, you're right, probably people who are listening to a gaming podcast do have multiple consoles, but it is cool to think about the people who only have one console, or historically only have Nintendo consoles, or can only afford one console to like have access at least to all the other games. And now it's outrageously expensive, but that's a topic for another day. Everything's expensive right now. But I don't know. I feel good about it. I think I haven't really been excited like this about Nintendo in a long time. I'm not notoriously a Nintendo sicko. I am a Sony PlayStation sicko, but so I'm excited to be excited about this, if that makes sense. Like I feel, and part of it is probably that I get to talk about it with my friends, but and like I do know like it gets me excited for what is existing. I do think like it would be cool if Donkey Kong was releasing day one, obviously. Yeah, I know that's kind of, I guess that's a big ask. I don't really know like historically what that looks like. But I think that, and also I'm a GameCube. That's my original console that I love near and dear to my heart. And it's getting a lot of love with this launch. For the things that are releasing backwards compatible, the controller, all of that. So I'm overall feeling really good about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Jerica, did you say your thoughts? I forget. I'm a bad host.
I'm indifferent, really. I feel like Nintendo doesn't have, they could have one big game at launch, and it doesn't matter what we think. They don't care.
Sure.
That's all they need. And looking back, I know we got a list of like some launch titles, like they've just never had a huge lineup for first party games. Like, and I think the Switch 2 is in a special spot, to Jake's point. Like you have so much to play on the Switch 2 if you get one for the first console. There's never been as much to play on a Nintendo console at launch as this thing has. So yeah, unless I'm just mistaken, but
no, I don't think so.
One last thing though.
Yeah,
do we look back and think Mario? I just wonder how expansive this new Mario Kart game is going to be, and do we look back on that and think, wow, that launch was as strong as like Breath of the Wild was for the Switch?
Could be.
And if it is, then like all they just need one game at launch, one big game. That's it.
And just to clarify too, on my position, I want to make sure my position is absolutely clear, because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat be like, well, PS5 was bad. Well, usually there's only a couple good games in a launch. That doesn't matter to me. I think the PS5's launch was also fucking horseshit. I'm just saying that what we are getting now is not good. And like, so just to be clear, I think there have been other really bad launches in the past. I just feel like I'm surprised that it's been almost a decade, and that this is the only, like, we're really only getting Mario Kart World. But let's look into the past a little bit. I went a little extra, and I put together some slides. We're going to go through the Nintendo launches, and I only have graphics for the mainline consoles. I don't have it for the handhelds, but we can talk about those too if we'd like, Jake. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as we all know,
PNG over here.
Say again?
I like Goomba.png over here. On the right.
Oh no, the saved PDF didn't get rid of his background. If you look at it in Canva, he doesn't have a background. That's
his transfer is so good.
That's so annoying. Whatever. It's too late.
It's my favorite.
It fits though.
It's gonna be an emote next time you show up on this channel.
I love that.
Good.
With the white background.
Noah asks, is this specifically first party titles only? No. And I don't have every single launch title shown, but we will say them. So with this, I have on the screen Duck Hunt, Mario Bros, and Excite Bike. But in October of 1985, these are all the North American launches as we go through this, at the launch price of either $99 or $160, depending on which version you got. They had 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clue Land, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Golf, Gyromite or Gyromite, not sure how you say that one. Hogan's Alley, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Pinball, Stack Up, Super Mario Brothers, Tennis, Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew. So that's like what, 14-ish games, something like that. But these, I feel like these are the 3 games that most people consider to be like the core beginning NES games. I know Jake played NES.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Because he's mature. We'll call it.
I did
than
too.
the NES.
But yeah,
I'm in
Jerica,
that
you played
category
NES?
too.
Yeah, me too. Kayla, did you ever play the NES like as a kid?
Not
or
Kayla.
Too young.
No.
No, I haven't. The only time I've played it is like High Score Weekly supplying me with the console, and like at his house, like he was having like a thing. Like I've played it on other people's like consoles, like as an adult, but I didn't participate in this as a kid.
Yeah. The NES to me, I feel like is a little in a league of its own because it was kind of the first. Like obviously we had the Atari, but like the NES was really the one I feel like that put home video game consoles on the map, specifically because of Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it's the biggest fucking thing of all time.
I did play an Atari.
So this is like, I think most people would probably say this is a great launch lineup. Well, what do you guys think?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially like it's very obviously historical. So I think it's kind of hard to separate from like other launches because it's the first, really.
For sure.
But yeah, I would say that it's pretty widely positively considered.
Where's our Duck Hunt and Excite Bite remakes? It's been like 30 years.
I honestly think you're right, but yeah, the NES's launch just having, I think a lot of people came home with just Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, a controller, and a fucking light gun.
Yeah.
And that was more than enough for a very long time. Like that was so revolutionary as far as what gaming was before this versus what it is right now. Pretty crazy.
Did we get a Duck Hunt on the Wii? Because I know, as Noah in the chat says, we got Excite Bike on the Wii, and that game was good.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like I've played an Excite Bike game at some point.
Yeah. Excite Bike's fun.
Yeah. Excite Bots? Any Excite Bots fans or Excite Truck fans?
That I
didn't know there was other vehicles.
On Wii, the Wii, I think, well, we'll find out soon, but I'm pretty sure the Wii launched with Excite Truck, or it came out really soon after. But it's like a spiritual successor. And then Excite Bots is a sequel to Excite Truck, but instead of trucks, they're like mechanical beetles and bugs and like rhinos, and it's so sick. It's so sick. You got to play Excite Bots sometimes.
Okay.
Also worth mentioning, according to inflationcalculator.net or whatever the fuck it is, the $160 bundle of the NES today would be more expensive than the Switch 2 at $475. Well, I guess if you compare it to the bundle, it's not, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy to think about.
6 years later, we got the SNES in August of 91 at $199, which today, man, downloading this PDF really fucked this for me. I'm pulling the car over. I can't stand for this. Hold on.
No, that's quite all right. Can I talk to you guys about an individual experience that I had with an NES game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very individual experience.
Okay.
So
I'm sure someone in the chat has experienced it.
There's a chance that High Score Weekly experienced this. I had never played Clue Land in my life, which, if I recall correctly, it's a game where you floating through the air a lot. I don't remember exactly how to play Clue Land. Maybe I'm thinking of like a different game as well. But Clue Land was definitely one of them that I played not on the NES, but on the Game Boy Advance via an e-reader. Do you guys know what an e-reader is?
Yeah.
The e-reader was a Game Boy Advance cartridge that had a card reader slot, like a credit card machine. And then you would scan, like, no, I don't mean tap to pay or insert to pay. Swipe. You would swipe these cardboard trading cards that you would get in packs from the store to play old games or have brand new things in it. Like, wild experiences, like either backwards compatible stuff or add things to existing lanes, or I think it was like you could add games or features or levels. I think you scanned extra levels into like the Super Mario Advance games is how you did it.
That's so
Absolutely
cool.
insane.
Wow.
Insane.
All right, my graphic is better. Goomba no longer has a square, and neither does SNES God, and the backgrounds have a square around it as well. So $199 at launch, which is $460 today. Launched with these 5 games: Pilot Wings, Super Mario World, F-Zero, SimCity, and Gradius 3. A pretty strong fucking launch.
Hell yeah. All you
I mean,
need is
Super Mario World.
SimCity.
Well,
Weeks.
a lot of people would say all you need is Super Mario World. And the fact that all these other games are in this too. I mean, that I need to go play Pilot Wings. Jake, you
How
said earlier.
unique. How
know,
unique is
right?
this catalog?
It's
so
yeah.
original.
It's very widespread. Yeah. We don't do it like this anymore, truly.
Oh yeah.
Jake, I ask you because I assume you know. I don't know what Gradius is.
Gradius is like a top-down shooter like Galaga.
Got it. Okay.
Or it might be a left to right shooter where you're going like it's on the right side of the screen and you're going up and down the left side of the screen. But it's like a old school, almost bullet hell type of deal.
And then this is one of the only ones that I pulled launch window for as well, just to recognize that Link to the Past came out 3 months later in November. So
wow,
by November, an all-time launch window lineup.
Yeah.
This might be, when it's all said and done, when we go through all of them, I think the SNES might be the strongest Nintendo launch, perhaps. Because that's just what a
insane
lineup. After that, in 1996, we got the N64 with only Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
I told you I'm a real gamer. If anyone's ever doubting me, fucking, I'm here. I've been here from the beginning. Was I playing
Isn't
Super
that
Mario
crazy?
64? No, Pilot Wings.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy that they only put out Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings 64? But then, like, to your point earlier, Kayla, like maybe one game is enough. Super Mario 64 simply was enough.
Yeah.
For the N64.
I forgot about
I
Pilot
fear
Wings,
this is Nintendo's strongest launch.
64. It was revolutionary though. Like that is all you like. I just don't think we can get a launch title that is Mario 64 ever again. I don't know.
Sure.
I think Breath of the Wild was the closest thing for Nintendo to be this kind of like evolution of what this franchise can do. And I don't know. I'm sure we get another one. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. The launch window for the N64, we also got Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, Wave Race 64, the Mortal Kombat trilogy, and then a couple sports titles. Like we got FIFA, we got Wayne Gretzky hockey. And then by February of the next year, so what, 5 months later, we had Mario Kart 64. So it didn't take too long to have a pretty well-rounded lineup, but man, we had an N64 when I was a kid, but I don't remember if we got it at launch because I was like 5. But I could only imagine like taking home a console and you get Super Mario 64 as your fucking game. Oh my god,
that's all you play for years.
This is not the console. We're still not at the console I owned first, but this is my cousins had this console, so I did play a lot of Super Mario 64 at their house, but it was never like mine. So I never felt like, I don't know if you guys felt this way, not to get on a side tangent, but like it's not the same playing on your friend's console as it is yours. Like even when you were a kid, like going over to I like to be in my own like environment. Obviously I had to share with my brother because exclamation point siblings.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's just not the same. But so I didn't get to have like, my free will with my console until next.
That makes sense. Well, we will get there in just 1 second. But Blaster Goblin in the chat does ask, when did we get the world's greatest kart racer, Diddy Kong Racing? That was November of 2020. I almost said 2027, 1997. So a year later.
The best year.
I think
arguably.
you got to hear me out on if we're including launch window and not. I know that it's only 2 games that technically were the launch games, Mario 64 and Pilot Wings. But if you're talking launch window and you just do like the year 1996 because you have September, October, November, December, and that's it for 64 availability, it is the best variety of games that has ever existed for a console launch. It's so rad. You got Mario 64, which is arguably the best 3D platformer of all time. You have Pilot Wings, which is so fun to play in repeat sessions and with friends and try to beat each other's scores and have rounds and have a blast with. Then you have Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, which is like a third-person action shooting game. You have Turok Dinosaur Hunter, a straight-up first-person shooter that has dinosaurs and it's rad.
It's so
Wave
good.
Race 64, you're driving jet skis around. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, you got a fighting game, and then you got your sports games if you so desire. Like, it is so well rounded. That's such
That's a
an
good
awesome
point.
experience.
That's a great point. Blaster Goblin saying Diddy Kong is the second greatest N64 game after Perfect Dark.
Wow. Wow.
Like that.
I'm not a Perfect Dark knower, but
Me
I can
neither.
change that. I can change that.
Mhm.
Next up, we got the GameCube. We're getting Kayla off the bench. This
She's
launched
ready.
November 2001, just 2 months after. The price was $199, which is $359 today. Launched with Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race, Blue Storm, Super Monkey Ball, Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, All-Star Baseball, not pictured, Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, I already said, Madden 2002, not pictured, NHL Hits 2002, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2, not pictured, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Tarzan Untamed, not
Woo.
pictured, Crazy Taxi, and Batman Vengeance, not pictured. Remember
Wow.
back in the day when consoles wouldn't release at the same time across the world, and
Mhm.
it was always Japan gets it, and then we have to wait for several months.
Yeah. I do remember that. Correct.
But yeah, Kayla, talk to me about GameCube.
I don't remember exactly when I got my GameCube, but it was my first Nintendo console, and it is all that I needed. But not necessarily based off the launch titles. I mean, obviously you have bangers here, right? Like you truly do. Like Luigi's Mansion, absolutely iconic. Super Monkey Ball, iconic. But I just looked it up, and I didn't realize that Super Mario Strikers was not even close to a launch title. It came out in
Yeah.
2005, which I didn't realize. But yeah, I think that like when I just look back on like my time with the console and like the games that were available to play on the GameCube, like that's just kind of what I think. But yeah, I still think it's a great launch. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think this is a very strong launch. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
15 games, so there's
It's
so
a
much
lot, yeah.
variety. There's even like Tarzan Untamed. I don't remember that game well, but like I feel like there's a game for any kind of gamer here. And the NHL Hits, one of the best sports games ever made, especially if you
Whoa.
like hockey. It's Blitz if you know Blitz, but for hockey. It's so
Oh, okay.
fucking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a really strong launch lineup. I know a lot of people historically look at this one as under par because it's a Luigi game and not a Mario game,
Well,
but Luigi's Mansion is great.
yeah. I have a question. Is this the first Nintendo console that you could put a memory card in? Or was there the capability before this
Well,
console?
in 64, it was in the controller.
It was in the controller.
Not in
Got
the
it. Well, this is the first console with a handle on it. So
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't know what else you
The
could-
only
True.
console with a
Yeah,
handle
I
on
think
it?
it's the only one.
I fear that it's the only console with a handle.
I love the
Um,
form factor of the GameCube. I think that's a
it's
10
so
out of 10
good.
design.
Yeah. The little
I
baby
remember-
discs were so cool.
They were
Yes.
so
exciting.
cute.
I love the baby discs.
Baby discs.
It is also the console that gave us Baby Park, so a lot of baby going on at the GameCube.
When you were talking about the I'm people that were upset about Luigi's Mansion. High Score
Oh.
Weekly in the chat says like there was a controversy, a fan drama, because it was the first Nintendo console without a Mario, and Luigi's
Yeah.
Mansion is like 3 hours long. Now, this is where I get to the point of like Nintendo where I'm 13 years old. I'm begging my parents to bring me to the 24-hour Walmart nearby so I can get this game, that can get this console at midnight and like do the whole thing that is like becoming the emerging culture at that time, which I did, and I left without Luigi's Mansion that day. I left with
Wow.
only one game. Do you want to guess what it is? It's on this list.
Wave
Wave
Race
Race?
64. Or not 64,
You're-
Blue Storm.
You guys are both right. It's Wave Race Blue Storm, dude. I was a sicko for Wave Race 64. I love that game.
I had that one too. I played it so much on my
I didn't have that
GameCube.
one.
Yes, Blue Storm is really, really good. It might be one of my favorite jet skiing games. It's like
Just
top
fun.
3 probably. I've got a lot of favorite jet skiing games. Don't worry about it. That's another.
What color
episode.
did you guys have? Which one did you have? The silver.
Well, it was
the
only purple when it came out for me.
It was purple
So
and black, I think. I think I got black off the jump, but my GameCube that I have now traded in my GameCube to get a PS2 at one point. I'm an idiot.
Whoa.
But I ended up getting it again when Melee came out, and I ended up with one of the platinum editions. I think the silver
cool.
ones.
yeah.
I remember. Did any of you have? It was like a screen for the GameCube. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I
Nitro
never had
did.
one, but those I saw them. They look cool.
It was like made for
Um,
the GameCube.
Yeah, it was. It
Oh.
it would lay on the GameCube, and so you could basically make the GameCube portal as long as you had power.
Oh, see, I did what I did is my family had a small little box TV that we put in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And we hooked it up in the car. I would play mobile with my brother. We would play
Yep.
Rampage
Yep.
on the GameCube in the car.
So yeah, I'm the youngest of 5, and it's 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters, and so we would take road trips to visit like family in Florida all the time, and we learned about this GameCube screen, and we went to my parents and we were like, if we can somehow get the money together, can we please buy this? Can we please? And they were like, sure, as long as you can get the money. And so then we just start like flipping cushions, and then we find this huge jar of coins in my dad's in the bathroom, and we were like, hey, Dad, do you want this? And he was like, I mean, yeah, I've been collecting this money for years. We were like, but could we please use it for this GameCube screen? And being a great father, he agreed. And so we didn't have any of the money ourselves. We just somehow found this money either by doing chores or around the house. And we funded the GameCube screen. And oh my God, we put hours into that thing. We would play it so much in the car, playing things like NHL Hits together, or like Gauntlet Dark Legacy was maybe the most played GameCube game in my family. I got it for Easter one year, or we got it like as siblings for Easter one year, and we would play it so fucking much. But yeah, the GameCube is one of my first consoles that I have like really solidified memories with.
Yeah. And then
sure.
so that we don't lose a loyal viewer, Blaster Goblin said if this segment goes by without a Resident Evil 4 mention, they'll report the channel, which is a good point. I did not play that when it came out. Did it come out on the GameCube?
It did, but I
Is that
think it was
right?
2005. I think it was way
Yeah,
after the
see.
fact. I'll
Which
give
is
a shout out
crazy.
right now though, because I retroactively I think that the
2005.
GameCube deserves a little bit of credit for the presence of Crazy Taxi, because prior to that, it was only on that like semi-generational Dreamcast that not many people had, but at this point
Yeah.
it was barely being supported. So Crazy Taxi outside of arcades was first experienced on GameCube by a lot of people, and that's an absolute banger. Not one that I had on launch. I owned it on Dreamcast already because I'm an idiot. Star Wars Rogue Leader is like one of the best dogfighting Star Wars games that's ever been created, and I think the favorite of most of the Rogue Squadron trilogy fans. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was on a bunch of stuff. Hits, really good, obviously. But looking at this, the standout for me,
Sure.
Super Monkey Ball.
Oh, what a fucking game.
Oh, the best. It is the best. And so many hours of gameplay. Because
Yeah.
not only do you have the single player thing, but like I had a little sister, we played Monkey Target endlessly. Hundreds of hours of Monkey Target, I would guess. It is unreal what a comprehensive package that video game is.
Yeah,
Just a
it's
banger.
so fucking good. Yeah, Noah in the chat earlier said what his favorites of this list are. Let's do that for the rest of this, each launch lineup. What's your favorite of the list? So, Jake, you're saying Super Monkey Ball.
Monkey Ball has to be the pick, yeah.
Jerica, what's your favorite or favorites?
Road Leader. I can't talk.
Hell
Yeah, I played
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of that game.
How about you, Kayla?
Luigi's Mansion, for
Nice.
sure.
I think mine is NHL Hits of these, but I also I do want to respect Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Fucking
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
unreal
did.
video game.
Yeah.
One of the best games of all time.
This is, I mean, these 7 are, and there's more too. I remember liking Batman Vengeance, even though it's not a good video game. It was just fun to be Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think a pretty strong launch lineup for the GameCube.
Yeah. I would agree.
We now go to the year 2006, November. Oh, wait, I have to go over to the window. November 2006. Price $249.99, which today is $397.99. We launched with Twilight Princess, Wii Sports, Red Steel, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, Madden 07, Dragon Quest Swords, The Masked Queen, and the Tower of Mirrors. What a fucking mouthful of a name. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, Metal Slug Anthology, Trauma Center Second Opinion, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Blitz the League, Rayman Raving Rabbids, SpongeBob SquarePants Creature from the Krusty Krab, and Pixar's Cars. What do we think about the Wii launch lineup, Jake?
I love the Wii launch, and it's mostly on the back of Wii Sports, where I just remember very clearly that holiday season, the Wii coming out and nobody really realizing how big of a deal the Wii was going to be. And Wii Sports was just the quintessential game where it came out in 2006, which was the year that I graduated. So I remember everybody kind of came home from college and we were all getting together again in like November, December for the long break. And it was just, no matter whose house we were at, it was Wii tennis and Wii bowling tournaments every fucking day. I played so much Wii Sports in that time, and then we definitely had a good time with some Rayman Raving Rabbids as well. And I'm a little freak, so I was playing fucking Blitz the League and at that point too. But Zelda, obviously, a great one, really good launch.
Jerica, how about you?
I wasn't as into the lineup or the launch for the Wii as I was like obviously like the GameCube, but out of this list, I'm trying to remember which one I actually played, and all I think I remember at launch was Wii Sports. I think because the whole family was playing it. It wasn't just me that were like, I wasn't the one interested in it. Like everybody was interested in this game. That whenever I'd be playing it, they wanted to try it. So like Wii Sports, that has to be my pick because it's what I got my grandmother interested in playing a video game for the first time in her life. So she sucked at it, but she was interested.
Fucking grandma.
Kayla,
how about you?
Yeah, I had a Wii. I didn't have it at launch from what I remember. I do know that there was a lot of financial hardships in my family around the Wii era. But I would definitely say like Wii Sports. I agree with Jerica. It kind of revolutionized the barrier of entry to gaming in a way. I think that it's a very much like an accessible, like, and somebody else said, I think it was Blaster Goblin, I forget. It's like definitely the best like packed in system game that ever existed with any launch. I would say like it's absolutely incredible. Like I played hours and hours, and I don't remember. I'm gonna have to do some research to figure out what the name of this is, or maybe you guys can like help me. But wasn't there a series of mini games that came pre-installed on the Wii that was hella good? And there was like a tank game where you could shoot each other.
You're probably thinking of Wii Play, is my guess. That was packed in.
Wii Play. Yes.
It was packed in with the remote for a long time.
And I think that this console just like, I think this is probably one of the most innovative launches. Like I know that there's a lot of like meme-worthy things that come with the Wii. Also, like the period of time where everyone's kids were throwing their remote through their TV at this point. But I loved the Wii a lot.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I remember, I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, just like begging for the Wii, because I was also, by the time this came out, well, no, that's not true. I was going to say I was home alone, but that's not true. But I think by the time I got a Wii, I don't think I got it at launch. I think I was the only kid still in the house. And I got, Wii Sports and Zelda were the first two things, and just played them for just so fucking much. Also, I was going to ask Blaster Goblin in the chat, as the internet's most accessible Tony Hawk guy, I'll field the Downhill Jam questions, because I don't remember Downhill Jam at all. And he says it's anus. Downhill Jam, more like downhill butt. Did any of you play Downhill Jam? I didn't.
No.
Yeah, dude. It's really bad. It's like such a good idea in concept, concept, because in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 there were a couple of those levels that were just like linear, where when you got to like the end of the mall you would hit an elevator and it would bring you back up to the top, so it was always kind of downhill momentum, but it was just like a poorly programmed game by a team at Activision that shouldn't have been helming the Tony Hawk franchise at that point. And at this point as well, it is the predecessor only to fucking Tony Hawk Ride and Tony Hawk Shred that had the plastic fucking skateboards that you would put on the rug, which is the beginning of a very dark era for Tony Hawk. I'll tell you that much. The follow-up on the Wii launch, though, like if you look at like the 3 or 4 months that follow, Nintendo was really strong because it launched in November, and then I think by the time we hit 2007, you're gonna end up with a pretty impressive lineup. You have WarioWare Smooth Moves in January, We Play in February, as well as Sonic and the Secret Rings. So those are like 3 pretty solid games that a lot of people played during those early Switch days. I mean, I remember the transition with my friends from like Wii Sports was our jam to WarioWare was our jam was pretty rapid as well.
Cool.
I didn't know this because I'm not a Zelda person, but High Score Weekly did say most Zelda people know this, but Twilight Princess came out on GameCube and Wii, but the Wii maps were mirrored because they switched Link to be the right-handed for motion controls, and he was left-handed on GameCube, which I think is
cool. I did not know that.
That is cool.
There was a lot of controversy with that too, because
really?
Zelda Twilight Princess was like the Zelda that was promised. So like the story of Zelda Twilight Princess is kind of weird. They had a big GameCube tech demo way back in the day, and they showed like basically like a 3D Ocarina of Time looking game where it was like, I've never seen Zelda in such fidelity. And then there's no word for a while, and all of a sudden Wind Waker comes out and people are like, that's not my Zelda. Obviously it's like beloved now, but a lot of people were really turned off to Wind Waker at the time.
When it launched.
Hated it. They would make fun of it in like Game Farcer on like the Game Informer funny pages during April Fools and stuff like that. It was the laughing stock for quite a while. Obviously it's a time-honored tradition and a classic now. It wasn't always like that. So they finally make good on it, and they reveal in I think 2005 that we're getting Zelda Twilight Princess for GameCube. Big era of no word on Twilight Princess. It resurfaces as a cross-generational title where it's Twilight Princess coming out for both Wii and GameCube. And then it's controversy again because the Wii one launches in November with the console, with the brand new console, but the GameCube one needs more time in the oven and doesn't release until like 3 or 4 weeks later.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't come out until like 3 or 4 weeks later in December for GameCube. So a lot of people felt like they don't get to play their Zelda game where they're watching everybody else that early adopts the new console play that Zelda before them. It was like really shitty for a lot of people.
I was in that group. I don't think I was like supremely pissed about it, but I remember being like, I want to play the new Zelda and I can't because I didn't have a Wii at the very beginning. Wow, I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
Thanks for bringing up my past
launch memories, trauma.
For sure.
From here, we go to November 2012 to the Wii U. And in a lot of ways, I compare the Wii U launch lineup to the Switch 2 launch lineup, except I will go ahead and say the Wii U launch lineup basically doesn't have a good game, whereas the Switch 2 has what I think might be one of the best games ever made in Mario Kart World. But my comparison is that this had just a lot of third-party games, and I feel like they wanted to make that seem like that's what made the Wii U special. Because we finally got Mass Effect and Assassin's Creed and things like that. But the launch lineup was Assassin's Creed 3, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Chasing Aurora, Darksiders 2, Epic Mickey 2, FIFA 13, ESPN Sports Connection, Game Party Champions, Just Dance 4, Little Inferno, Madden 13, Mass Effect 3, Mighty Switch Force, Nano Assault Neo, Rabbids Land, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Sing Party, Skylanders Giants, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, Tank, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Wii U, Transformers Prime, Trine 2 Director's Cut, Your Shape, Fitness Evolved, Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper, Wipeout the Game 3, and Zombie U. So like a lot of games, but most of them at the launch were old. Like we had Batman Arkham City had come out several years prior, maybe not several, but at least it was not a new game. Same with Mass Effect 3. Like there were a lot of games that this was just like a rehash of those on the Wii U. And so really the only two, like, or I guess 2.5, we can say, big Nintendo games were Super Mario Bros. U, Nintendo Land, and Zombie U. I say half because Nintendo Land was not really a full game. But Wii U, the only game or the only console on this list that I never owned.
I didn't own it either.
Yeah.
Only got it for Wind Waker remake or HD, whatever it was. It's the only reason I got it. The only game I had for it.
That's crazy. Dedication. Well, I got the Wii U immediately on launch day because I'm a
Nice.
fucking sicko. And I rather hated this launch. I think Nintendo Land was good, but it was like, it always felt like a try hard type of situation.
Yeah.
It was like you kind of want to be Wii Sports, but you're not Wii Sports. Even though it has some really cool modes, it just isn't the same level of pack-in that they wanted it to be. And it's a game that, like, I don't think it impacted people the way that Nintendo wanted to. And nothing on this console did. And the biggest problem, I think, with the Mario launch title there is that this is maybe the most, like, iterative Mario sequel that exists. Like, the new Super Mario Brothers DS, New Super Mario Brothers 2 DS, New Super Mario Brothers Wii, and New Super Mario Brothers U share so much DNA. Like, right. I would struggle to tell you outside of the hand-drawn Mario U one that looks like a Van Gogh painting, another level in that game that stands out to me, and that couldn't be from one of the other 3 games. So it just felt a little shitty. It's arguably the best of the 4 new Super Mario Brothers games, but I don't think those are even like a very good visual aesthetic. And I love a world map, obviously, but it just didn't hit the way I needed it to.
I remember so vividly, the Wii U was the first Nintendo launch that I was like actively participating in, like the gaming ecosystem as like a podcast listener. I'm looking at news all the time, like, cool. And I remember being so disappointed that nothing on this list made me want to get a Wii U. The closest thing was Zombie U, because that was the only one really, other than like maybe Nintendo Land, that was doing anything interesting with the gamepad. But everything else, it was like, I feel like this is such a missed opportunity that you have this gamepad that can act as a second screen, and like no one's doing shit with it. But Zombie U, like it seemed like what they were doing with it was pretty cool. But yeah, a really rough launch.
They should have named it something else.
Yeah, the Wii U.
Wii U was just such a. I just remember just immediately like turning my brain off to what it was when I didn't see like there was like a major new title launching with it. Like, I just was like, I'm gonna hold off on this one.
Yeah.
And I think
this is
the majority of the world
towards
did.
the end of my GameStop days when I was working there, and holy shit, this thing. We were sitting on units. This thing was available, and it had like the 2 different versions at launch too. But like the white system was so shitty and only $50 cheaper that they were just sitting there forever, and nobody, like, there were so few people buying the Wii U at all that anybody that was like educated enough on it would just come in and get the nicer one because it had the features that you actually needed, enough space to actually operate.
Sure.
Fucking hideous. But yeah, it was.
I forget what was the difference in those two. I remember there being 2. I can't remember.
I think it's like 8 gigabytes versus 32 gigabytes, and like even at that point, the game storage that's needed for a lot of installs, and they were moving pretty closely towards digital distribution. Like the eShop was actually pretty fluid on this thing. It was not enough to like install more than 2 or 3 games, like a laughably small amount. Crazy.
Yeah, that's rough. Well, it wasn't that long before we got the next console launch with the Switch, and in March 2017 launched at $299 US, which is just under 400 today. Its launch title lineup was 1-2 Switch, Just Dance 2017, Breath of the Wild, Skylanders Imaginators, Super Bomberman R, I Am Setsuna, Snipperclips, Shovel Knight, Treasure Trove, and Spectre of Torment. Fast RMX. And then April, so the next month, was when we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I did get a Switch at launch, and I remember this was one of those ones where it's like, turns out Zelda Breath of the Wild is actually enough. One game is enough because it's Breath of the Wild. I Am Setsuna is good too. And then, we got Mario Kart 8 the next month. So it's like, okay, by the time I'm done with Breath of the Wild, we have Mario Kart. But what did y'all think of the Switch launch lineup, Jake?
I really like it. I mean, like you're saying, Breath of the Wild, same deal, but less controversy because this was a cross-generational title that I believe launched at the same time, or so few people played the Wii U version because there were so few people that owned a Wii U that it was all the Nintendo diehards that were going to grab a fucking Switch anyway. But it was cross-generational, but it's such a banger of a fucking game that it carries so hard. I did pick up 1-2 Switch on launch as well and had a good time with that game though. I was just like the group of friends that I had at that time. It came out. It was goofy. It was fun for some drinking nights as we were like going out before. It was good.
Sure. Jerica, were you a Switch 1 launch girly?
Yep. Went in there, got it, so I could play the new Zelda. But then I was bummed because I really wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Ah.
I remember that being, I got this new console and I held off for a little bit because I actually played that first. And then I went back to it and I was like, holy shit, this is fun. This is cool. I love how this console feels. It's slim. It's sexy. I like all the commercials with the snapping and the clicking. Just really got me. They know how to make a snappy marketing, I guess, 1-2 Switch that they sort of built onto that. Like, I don't know. It was like Nintendo's getting weird, but it was like a cool kind of weird, like practical. This system was practical to take with you. And it is, so convenient.
Oh, for sure. What a fucking glorious
powerhouse
piece of tech
in your hand, finally.
Yeah. Kayla, how about you?
I was still kind of like re-entering into my gamer era in this time. This is kind of like the beginning of the preface for me. I didn't get this at launch. I got this the following year, I believe. I think I waited about a year. I was, fully in my PlayStation, like when I was playing games. But I did really enjoy 1-2 Switch. I also, I love Just Dance. I'm just gonna say it right now. I think it's a fun game. It's a fun party game. And I also enjoyed Snipper Clips. And of course, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, when it came out, I did participate for sure. Put a lot of hours into that. But yeah, I think this is a solid launch overall. I don't have a ton of like memories of the launch because, like I said, I wasn't getting it day one, but I did definitely own it for many years. RIP, she has been traded in.
Nice. Yeah, I need to try to sell one of my, because I have a Switch and Rose has a Switch. I need to try to sell at least one of them because otherwise it's just money just sitting there. They weren't crushed, thankfully. Next, to end the conversation, to bring us back around, the Switch 2 comes out a week from today at $449 US, which today is $449 US. Its launch titles are going to be Mario Kart World, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Sonic Cross Shadows Generation. Is it Cross, Jake, or X?
Dude, nobody knows. It's either Sonic Shadow Generations, Cross Generations, or X Generations.
Great. Fucking goddamn it. Split Fiction, Street Fighter 6 Years 1 to 2 Fighters Edition. Capcom grow up. Figure out better names. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster. Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 will be new on that one. Hitman World of Assassination. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. Fortnite. Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition. These fucking names, people. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S. Rune Factory. Guardians of Azuma. Arcade Archives 2, Ridge Racer, Fast Fusion, Kinutsugami, Path of the Goddess, Civ 7, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Survival Kids, and Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Here's what I'll say, Jake. If you didn't play Switch 1, you never had a Switch. The Switch 2 launch lineup could be the greatest launch lineup ever because you have Mario Kart World, two of the best Zelda games ever made, and the other Switch games that are coming over. But I don't know but I guess we started by talking about this. So it's kind of we would just be retreading old ground. Here's what I'll say. Here's a new kind of way to have this discussion. Now that we've gone through all of them, anybody's mind changed at all about the Switch 2 launch lineup?
No.
What if the X was Kiss, like XOXO? and it was Sonic Kiss Shadow
Kiss, yes.
Generations.
Now we're talking.
Now that would be a launch for sure.
Now we're talking. Here's what I'll say. I'll own my rage and say going through this has lightened me up a little bit.
Okay.
In comparison to like I think of the Wii U. I mean, you fucking can't get worse than the Wii U.
No.
At worst, this is just a mid-launch lineup, not a bad launch lineup. Because the Wii U, that was a bad launch lineup. But Kayla, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say one thing that Blaster Goblin said that I cannot shake is the gradual decline in the quality of box art throughout the years.
Yeah.
This box art is horseshit for real,
Yeah.
for real. And they used to be so good, like looking back at like the N64, like NES, SNES era, and it's just like gotten worse, more minimalist, if you would say.
Yeah.
As far as the actual box, like the art itself of the game, like that's like just perspective, but the way that the box look is not good.
It's terrible. Yeah, Yulhub says it looks like a warning. It really looks like if I turn it around, it's going to say playing this might give you cancer.
Yes.
The only
I
thing
bet they changed that.
the only thing worse than Deltarune's box art is Deltarune's in-game art.
I mean, sure.
Pause for laugh. I think Mario Kart World has really good key art and box art. It's a little small and cluttered, but I think blown up it looks really, really good.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Noah says, I don't think you can look back and say they had worse launch lineups across the board and say that's a justification to feel better about this launch lineup. This is still objectively not great, even if it's mid in comparison to the others. That you make a good point. It's still, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, at least it's not the fucking Wii U. But yeah, I just for weeks now, I've just been sitting on this. Like, am I the only one that thinks that the Switch 2 launch lineup is not very good? And it seems like I'm not. And community is important.
Listen, I haven't beat Pikmin 4 yet. I'm holding on. I quit beating games for my Switch just so I could finish all of them. I can finish on the Switch 2. Can I finally finish on the Switch 2? Yes, I can. Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4. I'm coming for you. That's what I'm going to be playing.
Give Jake 4 minutes. He's going to finish on the Switch 2 next Thursday.
Remember the camera we talked about, I
would call it more of a tribute to Miyamoto.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think Noah is trying to send me something, maybe. Where are you sending me something?
Can I read Swanky's very good message out loud? Because it would bring me great joy. If any of Deltarune's fans were allowed to be up this late, Jake would be in deep doo-doo.
That's so fucking funny. All right, here we go.
Oh, no.
My God. Incredible.
Stop screen. Let's share this instead.
I love that this is how we're ending this show.
Also, it feels like we're cheating a little bit putting fucking Zelda box art on the Switch 2 launch. I get it. There's Switch 2 editions that you don't even use the Switch 2 for. You have to plug your fucking phone and it's up-resed and I'm excited for it. But it feels a little fucked up to put those on there. It makes it look so much better. If that was sitting there next to a picture of fucking Deltarune and Fast Remix, everyone would be like, "Oh, bro."
So this is comparing from left to right, Japan, Europe, and America's box art for the Switch 2. Oh my God. There's just so much more shit on the North American one with warnings and shit. Dear God.
What does that mean? I don't understand. Why?
They put something different in ours than they do in Europe and Japan.
I just wonder if I don't. So my girlfriend's learning Japanese. I could ask her, is there just less characters? Maybe that's why.
It could be. I think it's like regulatory stuff of you have to say this and you have to say that for selling this kind of.
You can say a lot with less, I think, with Japanese though.
That is true.
True.
That is true.
You know what all three of them have on it though?
What?
Peach looking back at it.
What can you do the pose? How is she looking?
It's like this.
Oh. Yeah.
So good.
Thank you.
Great.
So fucking good. Any final thoughts on the Switch 2, whether it be predictions, launch lineup things? I'm going to pull up some Discord thoughts on the launch lineup if anybody has anything to share.
How difficult do we think this is going to be able to purchase post-launch?
Ooh, that's a great question.
A really good question.
I think we see some restocks. I think we see some. things coming through more than we felt like on we were all trying to pre-order. It felt scary
Yeah.
for a minute, but
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Pre-orders were pretty flawless. We didn't really talk about the Switch One's availability, did we? When we were talking about the launch.
Oh yeah, no, it was so fucking difficult.
Yeah, that's part of why I
that's a
didn't
big
have
fucking
it.
point. Like for a year or so,
Yeah.
that thing was like
Yeah.
out of stock for more. So that was pretty wild. But yeah, it does feel a little bit like, I don't know. Do you guys get the feeling that there's a lot of Switch 2s available? Because I do.
yeah, I think they just
I get that feeling.
it's not after
I don't
a Wii U
know.
launch, so it's a little different. I just think they're
Yeah.
just set up to be different. Like I think the Switch was a different generation for Nintendo, and
Yeah.
it's made. Yeah, I think they know.
I wonder, like, because most of the people that we interact with around video games are people like in our Discord, and they're all people that are like trying to get a Switch 2 day one. And I only know one person in the Discord, at least that I've spoken to, that wanted a Switch 2 and hasn't been able to get one. And so it's like everybody else, it seems, has been able to get one. So that I feel like it's anecdotal, but that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eldon Bingus, we're bringing it back. A launch lineup comparison point. He says, I think the launch lineup is strong if you look out to July. Mario Kart and DK, essentially a 3D platformer in the vein of Mario, are two very strong games to start with. I don't think anything can ever compete with just how groundbreaking Breath of the Wild was. That was the game of the time, and I think it alone greatly elevates Switch One's lineup. And then our sweet cognitive clips, who might be asleep right now, says, excited for the launch lineup. Just like with the OG Switch and the Steam Deck, sometimes it's just exciting to play as many games as possible in as many ways as possible. And Papa loves some solid third-party support. I'm obviously incredibly hyped about about Metroid Prime 4, excuse me, but also can't wait to jump into Mario Kart, Tears of the Kingdom 2.0, Borderlands 4, and Pokemon Legends. Couple of maybes I'm keeping my eyes on: Bravely Default, Flying Fairy, and maybe this is the version of Final Fantasy VII Remake that gets me to play it.
Wow. Incredible.
So yeah, overall, even though I think the launch lineup could be better, I'm still fucking jazzed. Every day I'm looking at my order details to see if anything has changed. It hasn't, but I cannot fucking wait to get my hands on the Switch 2. As Jake was saying at the beginning of the episode, whenever we find out about the next Nintendo Direct, we're going to be reacting to it right here on twitch.tv/drop-in-drop-out-pod. And if throughout the episode you were like, wait a second, he's reading things from the Discord, maybe I want to be in the Discord to have things read, go to dropin-dropoutpod.com. That's where you can find all the things we're doing, but most importantly, that's where you can join the Discord to goof off with us all day, every day in there. We got all sorts of channels for all sorts of things, and we do threads for each episode where we ask questions that we feature each week on the podcast. So we think it's a good time. We think you should join it, but we also think you should like, subscribe, share, follow, all of those things. We will be back right here on twitch.tv/drop-in-drop-out-pod this Sunday evening around 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be playing a lot of Halo with you if you so desire. So make sure you're there. Make sure you download Halo Master Chief Collection because it's a big one. That is a big download. So make sure you download it before Sunday. But until then, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Shout out to a lovely chat as always. Until next time, we thank you. We love you. Bye-bye.